There was a spider, it was crawling in my sleep, woke me from a slumber full of wonder. So I got up and pondered what I'd seen and all that it could be.
Welcome back, everyone. We're getting into the I wouldn't say dog days of summer, but we're getting there. It's hot. I'm sure it's hot all over this beautiful globe of ours that we've demanded too much of. But I digress. I have Max Subar here today, who's on the verge of his first solo record coming out on Merge called Anything Could Be, coming out July 17th of this year. It has such an interesting story, which we'll get into. Max, the recording of this record, or the initial intent behind it, you set aside a handful of days and you went to a secluded, kind of isolated area. What was your intent behind not cutting, but like isolating yourself so that you could focus in on what would become Anything Could Be? Can you walk us through, like, what were you hoping to get out of that journey before it started?
Sure, yeah. I feel like when I was writing the songs over the summertime, I was kind of in this like really wonderful like routine of just kind of getting up every day and seeing what kind of comes out. And a lot of songs came through that way for like for a summer. And they weren't, sorry, a lot of songs like came through that way, like I was saying. But it was like this like beautiful sort of moment every morning that I would have where sometimes a song would come out that I would really cherish and come back to and would become a record song. And some of the songs weren't, but it was kind of like this, just like this like special moment each day that I had. And then as I finished writing that summer, I was trying to figure out a way later in the year, how could I capture like recordings in a way that kind of kept that kind of focus. And I really appreciated having like kind of a set out time and sort of energy. I kind of do a lot of other things sometimes when I'm not working on my own music, including working with others and helping put records together and playing in other bands, and being in the Chicago music scene. There's just like a lot going on, and being in Chicago, there's a lot going on. And I really cherish like having a little breath of time. And that's kind of what I was hoping to do by stepping away from my usual space and being free of distraction and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And like you were saying that your collaboration in the Chicago music scene, like I kind of mentioned to you before we hopped on here, that, I mean, it's really prolific how many other musicians and artists that you tend to work with. What was the choice behind, I want to venture out on my own? Like, was that always something that you had kind of percolating in the background, even though you were like contributing to other people's work, and like that was always something that you had seen that you wanted to do?
Yeah, in fact, that's something that I've kind of always done before being a contributor to other people's work. It wasn't until kind of maybe 2020, 2019, where I started feeling like so I had made a bunch of EPs before that time and was in other bands over the years and always kind of songwriting and playing guitar and singing. And having my own kind of practice into self-recording and producing and doing my own thing in my own space kind of lent itself well to certain other songwriters' processes and bands and stuff like that. And maybe in 2019, I think things really changed when I picked up the pedal steel because I was really excited about the instrument and how I could lend itself to the studio and to my own process and recording. And I started playing in some bands slowly over time. And then that just sort of branched out alongside me being like approaching friends in the scene and just being like, hey, I love your songs. If you want to come use my space, we could probably make something in line in the same energy as some of the stuff that I do. It's not, a universal recording studio where anyone can go in and make any record, but it lends itself well to certain folks. So that just kind of like, I was just really open to that experience, and I loved collaborating with other people and sharing that energy of making something and being focused and all the things that I got from working on my own was kind of, just it opened up beautifully as I started getting to do it with others. And saying yes to that over time was a wonderful journey because I met so many friends and joined a lot of bands. But it took some time to get back to my stuff and to my writing and then to eventually, recording the record. And I think that's also why I felt good about leaving town for a bit to work on my own stuff. I think it was easier to stay focused and dedicated to it.
Totally.
Yeah.
And how do you go about, you mentioned a couple of times your process for songwriting. Do you have a certain, I don't like saying formula, but like a certain style or how you approach how an idea turns into a song? Can you walk through a little bit of how do you approach songwriting?
Yeah. I feel like, sorry, maybe you can hear some of the roaring of the engines outside my...
It's all good.
It's Chicago.
Busy.
But yeah, I generally, like, a lot of the times that I start writing, I like to write in the morning. I feel like I said this to a friend recently and it feels true, but I feel like I'm my best when I'm writing consistently. I feel like I'm my best person when I'm writing consistently, or at least showing up every day with the guitar in hand. And a lot of the times the process just looks like playing through chords and different shapes and different progressions that kind of just come up kind of in a more of a, how am I feeling this morning sort of way. And just kind of having no real tangible idea, or sometimes I don't really have like a real idea of I want to write this story song, or I want to write, and then put chords to it. Usually the music comes first and it's like a chord progression and then maybe some stringing together of phrases or words, or maybe even just gibberish and kind of melody that I can kind of vamp on for a while. And usually around then, I feel like there's like some abstract feeling or essence of something I'm getting, or maybe I've been thinking about a relationship in my life or myself or reflecting. I mean, a lot of the writing I do is like self-reflection based.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I kind of, it kind of feels like I'm pulling from like more of an abstract splatter, and everything kind of makes its way into the center over time, as opposed to starting from a nucleus and then letting something, and then figuring out how to make that feel more abstract. It usually feels like, so it's a little more abstract in its feelings and its, bigger picture kind of realizations or something, and trying to tell the story of those through kind of everyday experiences or visuals, or so a sentence that if I heard a friend say to me, or like I got off the phone with someone and that's something that stuck in my brain, or sometimes I'll be just driving around or walking through my day and jotting down ideas, and then I can go back to those ideas, and those also feel like they kind of help tell that same story or something.
Yeah. Interesting. I noticed too, you like to put yourself in the songs. Like you write from a first person.
Yeah.
Like not all the time, but like some, like I noticed that like the songs that really kind of stuck out with me have you, and I guess in a way you're turning me into the first person as you write about it, because I'm thinking about myself. So that self-reflection. Do you find that writing in different personas like changes the way you would approach a song?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. I don't think I always intend to write from a first person, like literally, like using the word I or me or something like that. But I think I often do. But and I'm not sure this is getting to your question, but it's really beautiful to hear that it's possible and accessible for someone else to kind of jump right into that feeling and kind of live in that space. And I think that's really all I could ask for. But it means a lot to hear that. Yeah, because I don't think I'm trying to tell stories that haven't been told before. I'm not trying to say something that hasn't been said before. I think what I'm really trying to offer up is the space that I get from writing songs and making a record or recording music, is the stillness, the time to reflect, and then room for a lot of newness and curiosity and humor and all the other things that sometimes we lose track of in the day-to-day in this crazy world. And so being able to kind of make that space accessible for others as it is for me, and that feeling is really exciting and special. And so yeah, I'm never really trying to tell too much of a crazy story about a very specific thing. Although it comes from that, because we all are specific individual people, and I have my own story to tell, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. I just love that when songwriters can tap into humanity, or these universal human feelings that we all have that we think we don't all have, but like we're not all that complicated human beings, like we tend to kind of have the same feelings and the highs and lows, and like I've always respected songwriters that could tap into that, and I really found that when I was listening through to your record that I was able to find myself inside the music and like totally forgetting about the source of where this came from and who wrote it and what perspective, and like I don't know all that stuff, but hey, it freaking related to me super well.
Yeah.
So I really love that about it. And I mean, could it be that this isolation that you did over those 10 days was so that you could focus so deeply on yourself and your narrative and how you were going to put this record together? I mean, it seems like a great amount of time to have to really kind of get to the meat on that bone of what is, anything could be going to be, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. The isolation. Well, there's a line in one of the songs that has come out already where I say like, alone is not lonely. And I think that it kind of maybe touches on the making of the record, or what it is to be writing songs as, in a solo context. But yeah, I absolutely felt like, to be honest, like the first few days, I definitely had some like moments where I was like, oh shit, like what am I, or oh shoot, what am I, I don't know if I can say that on this. What am I doing out here? What's going on? But then it's kind of getting into a really beautiful flow of just showing up, kind of being able to set something up like I would in a studio and kind of walk away every day, but show up every morning and not feel the pressure of time to make something perfect right away, but also not feeling a sense of scarcity so that I would feel like I had to perfect it at the same time, if that makes sense. Like kind of approaching those 10 days with like a gentleness of having the space and having the intention every day and walking away with what I got. But certainly the luxury of that time and yeah, being on my own and kind of being able to take a lot of forest walks. And it was like the dead of winter, so it was like not the most hospitable outside, but
you definitely feel alive, I bet.
It was perfect. Yeah. So I definitely,
fingers before he could play again into the...
Yeah. I'm not sure if that answers your question.
Yeah, no, totally. And like, what was a day in the life? Like, how did you went in with that intent, which we talked about before? Did you achieve that? If you kind of look back on it and like were the daily rituals that you went through to start creating this record, did they come through, and how so?
Yeah, I definitely feel that way. When I left, I remember feeling like I had these like really great kind of performances, mostly live, of each song. And by live, I mean like singing and playing together, and they all had their own like flaws. And I'm like, maybe that doesn't come through at all, but like to me, like when you go on the granular with mics in front of you and you've been writing and then playing songs over the course of a season, it's like you can kind of hear everything in each take, and there's differences in each one and even different versions of them. But I feel like I walked away with like the record captured in like a very like pure essence of the songs being mostly me playing and singing guitar, and then kind of like some overdubbed electric guitars, some bass guitar, some pedal steel. I brought along other things that I knew I could do, like percussions and things like that, I was like, I don't know how far into the record this is or how much I'm going to want to add to this after these 10 days. But I walked away feeling like the essence of the record was captured. And yeah, so I was really thrilled because it was like the first time I'd ever done a trip like that. And also at that point, it was the first record I had ever made of my own music, because I was just making EPs. And by make, I mean just that many songs in kind of the same universe, and trying to make a bigger, more meaningful collection of them, you know?
Yeah, totally.
I felt like it was, I definitely felt like that was a good process for me.
Yeah. Well, and it's obvious that other people appreciate that process and loved what came out of it, because your first LP is coming out on Merge. How did all that, like, was that a surprise to you that it would get picked up? Like, your first kind of, here it is. Like, they must have heard something in that made, because Merge is an amazing label. What a privilege. Can you walk us through what you can of that story?
Yeah, absolutely. I had met Mac, who started Merge along with Laura, but I had met Laura, but I had met Mac at South by Southwest when Case Oates was playing at South by in its time has been so weird, but it was only in March of 2025, I think. Yeah. So yeah, I had met Mac, and at that point I had actually finished mixing my record and had spent quite a few months sending it around to friends. And my whole thing was, I'd love to put this out with someone that I feel I could trust, that I also feel like can get behind the music and is excited by it. And if I don't find that partner, then I'll self-release it. But I kind of on a whim, like, so I met Mac. He was, such a great vibe, nicest person ever. And we hung out a few times while he was there seeing Case Oates play. And after that, I just had sent him my record just to be like, hey, I just finished this. I wanted to send it your way. I hope you like it. Here's what I'm doing outside of being a guitar player and pedal steel player in this band. And he was really supportive of it. And, just took to it. And I was surprised, honestly, and really thrilled. And we kind of just kept the conversation going for quite some time, and made plans to put it out properly in like December of last year. So, and that was a really special time for me. It wasn't something I was expecting by any means. And I'm really, really excited. And yeah, I feel super lucky to be working with such an experienced, but strong team, but also one that is focused on the right things with working artists. And I feel that whenever I'm talking to them and talking about the record with them. So
totally. Well, in the project, you were collaborating with Casey Gomez as well. Like, I mean, what a record that was that they put out as well. Like, I see the merge of how the merge, is starting to get more and more acts like what you're doing and Casey is doing with the Cass Oates, and like, it's just such great, feel it in your bones kind of music. And
that's so nice to hear.
It is really touching stuff. Like, I've listened to it probably about 10 times, like in the last day or two. And more and more of the tracks are starting to stick out. I guess coming to a close here, Max, again, thanks so much for this. I've really enjoyed your stories about how this record came to be and your journey. And
yeah, thank you. I feel like we could talk for hours.
Absolutely. That's always a problem with 25 minutes is we just start riffing and then it's
yeah.
But what do you feel about this record, kind of looking all of this history you told us about? And, I think listeners oftentimes don't understand the depths of work that putting a record like this out is. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of sacrifice. How are you feeling about it, kind of looking back now on all of that with this artifact that you've created? Where are you at with all that?
Yeah, it's interesting that you say artifact, because it's like, it is so different making a record and then having it done and then having it in the back pocket and then being like, okay, put this out, and then actually getting to 2 weeks before it's coming out. It's a very different feeling. And it's the first time that I've done this before as far as like releasing a full length goes. So I'm learning and humbling myself and allowing myself the room to feel uncertainty or anxiety about putting something into the world like this. But I'm also feeling, but something that's been really special over the time from when I started writing these songs until now was I really made a point to only kind of work on them and come back to them as far as finishing them off or kind of adding some arrangements and things, only with like a really focused amount of time, trying to respect how I wrote the songs and how I first recorded them. And something that I've been really pleased by and almost surprised myself with was that in that kind of process of not wanting to overwork something, I feel like I've come out with music that, even though, these songs were now written, not just yet, like they weren't written yesterday, but they still kind of ring true to me. And I feel like I feel really excited. This is the kind of the first step of mine into releasing an album and into the world. And yeah, I feel like they work and they speak to me still because they're honest and vulnerable to me and kind of like focused and not over arranged. And these are all things that I really tried to think about as I took the step into making a record after making EPs, where that process can kind of go on for as long as you want. I tried to set some limitations so that these kind of songs, if they held true on acoustic and vocal, like that they can be fleshed out, but with the right approach. And I also feel really grateful to all the collaborators that played on it, because they all brought that touch. And it also means a lot that you say what you say about Case Oats, because I feel like that essence and that approach to making music and records is something that we all kind of share. I feel like in music kind of scene. And yeah, it's like something that we kind of bring to every rehearsal and every recording and all that stuff.
Yeah. You guys just look like you're having the best time when you're playing music together. It's just like and it's addictive for a listener or a watcher, because we feed off of that energy that you guys put out. And like, I watched a couple of live performances that you guys did and some stop-ins to records, radio stations, and, doing a few acoustic stuff. And again, it's just always there, this like friendship, but like this just glee of getting to play the music you guys love and people responding to it. Like, it's perfectly, circular. It's great.
Totally. I mean, that's the goal. It's like,
yeah,
same, like I was saying with having the space and the privilege of getting to write music, like, or just sit with my guitar and have that experience every morning. It's like, I want to figure out how to, or I hope that the music that I make can invite people in that way. And, like just continue to kind of like live on in their own worlds and their own realities. And they can hopefully fit right into that and find their story too.
Totally. Well, I mean, I've had the privilege to listen to the whole thing. And it does that and more. I don't tend to listen to a record over and over unless I get really obsessed with it. So thank you for that. It's been fun.
That means so much. Really. Yeah.
Max, what's in store? So the record comes out July. Do you have some dates where you'll be performing some of these songs, or are you back on tour again? Or like, can you just give us a little idea of what we can expect from you in 2026?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the record comes out in a couple of weeks. And then the following week, I'm really excited to be hitting the road with a band. So we're going to play over the dates of July 21st through July 24th. And the 21st is going to be in New York City. And then, so that'll be a full band show. And then we play in Philadelphia, we play in Columbus, and then we play in Chicago on a Friday night at the Hideout. And each kind of stop outside of the city, outside of Chicago, has some awesome like local openers. And actually, I saw that Mallory did one of these, and Mallory Fuck. And yeah, we're going to be sharing a bill in Philly, actually.
She's amazing. What a record, And it's just, I mean, I just came out not too long ago as well, and it's really good. There's so much good music coming out. In Chicago too, I just spoke to Andrew Saw, who is also amazing. What a singer. Like, there's just such a great wealth. So we made this agreement, Andrew and I, that I am going to come down through Chicago at some point. So Max, you'll also be another stop that I'd love.
Oh, fantastic.
Come and check out some music, and we can carry this conversation on.
I would love to. Yeah.
Well, I wish you all the best with the summer and the release. It's a really great record, guys. Go check it out. Anything Could Be coming out July 17th. Stay tuned. We'll play the title track, Anything Could Be, at the end of this. So don't turn your radios off just yet. Max, thank you. This has been really fun.
Thanks, Chris. It was great talking to you.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks.
There was a spider. It was crawling in my sleep. Woke me from a slumber full of wonder. So I got up and pondered what I'd seen and all that it could be to me. Anything could be true. Anything could be. We are drifting through a state of being, hungry for an impulse we can't eat, finding meaning like a kid in a grocery store, being pushed down aisle 7, always looking for more. Anything could be true. Anything could be. Breaking windows to let the insect free. Shards of the glass fall at my feet. A little blood rushing up my knee, struggling with loss of gravity. Anything could be true. Anything could be. Walking through our memories, I guess they're really mine. You can have any you please. Eventually, the story has been told. The ticking of the clock doesn't have to roll. Anything could be true. Anything could be. So I'm shaking at the spider in my dream.